Now, as we start to get into chords, you'll see that this relationship between 1, 4, and 5, this relationship creates the most harmonious and really the most often used sounds in music. Now, so far we've been doing ourselves a favor by only looking at the major and minor keys that don't have sharps and flats. The question is, what happens if the key signature is anything other than no sharps or flats, C major or A minor? Well, to answer this question, we have to learn how to construct a scale. So the same distance between intervals applies in any key, but because of the way a piano keyboard is laid out, that means we have to start employing some of those black keys. And the trick is just to know when and what we should call them. Well, back in the first week of class, you remember that some people were using this pattern of whole and half steps that they had memorized to figure out the notes in the scale. And if you know that pattern, if you memorize that pattern, then you know exactly which notes go with which scale. Look at C major and you'll see how this works. A major scale follows this pattern. Whole step, half step. Whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Whole, half, whole, half, and that makes up a major scale. It's easy with white keys, but what if our key is D major instead of C? Now we start on D and count a whole step to E, a whole step to F sharp, a half step to G, a whole step to A whole step to B, a whole step to C sharp, and a half step back to D. And now, what about minor scales? The pattern for the minor scale is whole, half, whole, half, whole. So again, back to A minor, we see this pattern holds true. Whole, half, whole, half, whole. But what if we wanted to examine B minor instead? Well, we could count from B up a whole step to C sharp, up a half step to D, up a whole from D to E, another whole from E to F sharp, half step from F sharp to G, and a whole step from G to A, and another whole step from A up to B again. Okay, so that method works, but it's kind of cumbersome, and it makes you feel more like you're learning math on an abacus than practicing music. So a better way to understand which black keys to use is by understanding our key signatures. A key signature is like a secret code at the start of the staff, and it says, "Psst, hey, unless I tell you otherwise, anytime you see these notes, you're going to sharp or flat them." And once you know the secret code, all that nonsense with counting half steps kind of becomes irrelevant. So, there are 7 major keys that use sharps, and there are 7 major keys that use flats. And every time you see sharps in the key signature, they'll appear in the same order. This is worth memorizing. The order is F, C, G, D, A, E, B. So you can make up any clever mnemonic device you want to help memorize this, like Florida can get dangerous at every beach. Pro tip though, when you make up your own mnemonic devices, the dirty ones tend to stick in your mind quicker. Just don't tell other people what they are. Now, if my scale starts on any white key except F or C, you'll have sharps in the key signature. And looking at the key signature, you can figure out what key you are in by going a half step above that last sharp. So, if there's only one sharp in the key signature, it's guaranteed to be F sharp because that's the pattern we learned. It starts with F. And that means that the key we are in, the major key we are in, is a half step above F sharp, G, G major. If there are two sharps, they would be F sharp and C sharp. Half step above C sharp is D, so we'd be in D major. Three sharps are F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, making the key A major, and so on. So what about the flats? The order of flats is just the opposite of what we just memorized. Just the opposite of the order of sharps. So our flats go B, E, A, D, G, C, F. What's your dirty mnemonic device? Mine is, nice try, yeah. The first rule of this is you don't talk about it. So you could just remember the word bead, then GCF, but where's the fun in that? Make up something crazy. So this tells us if there's only one flat in the key signature, it's guaranteed to be B flat. That's the first that we memorized in this pattern. And one flat puts us in the key of F major. After that, the key will always be the next to last flat in the key signature. So two flats, B flat and E flat, would put you in the key of B flat major. Three flats, B flat, E flat, A flat, put you in the key of E flat major. You get the idea. Well, this is easy. Now when you go to write your scales, you don't have to count wholes and halves and all of that. Just fill in the notes on the staff without worrying about anything else, and then add the sharps or flats in that key signature.